Hello, everybody. I'm Anthony along with just Chris today, and this is episode 54 of Hard Knock Hawks. This is the podcast where we talk about our favorite NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks, and sometimes other stuff in the NBA too. It's been a good minute since we last recorded, and we have a few interesting topics to talk about, including some star trades that you may find interesting that we could be talking about. But let's talk about where the team ranks first. The Atlanta Hawks are currently the ninth seed with the 16th ranked offense and the 14th ranked defense, according to Cleaning the Glass. Let me make sure I got that right real quick. Yeah, that's right. On NBA.com, they have the 14th ranked offense and the 11th ranked defense, so that's a little better. During the last 2 weeks, they scores of having us the 16th ranked offense and the 10th ranked defense, so we have been having a really good defense during the past few weeks. But of course, we've had a pretty brutal schedule in the last week or so. 5 games in 7 days. Everyone's tired. You can tell a lot, a lot of tired legs during these games. But we've been on this long break until tomorrow, as we're recording this. We're playing against the Pistons, and generally, Chris, what's your general thoughts on this team so far as we enter the end of this long break, basically.
No, yeah, I mean it's really been a grind. I think some people are blaming the NBA Cup. The NBA was saying that it's the same amount of games that they always play this time of the year. But it felt like the Hawks had a really brutal schedule, but they've been really competing. Their defense has been carrying them in a lot of games. Right, there's a team that really has to lock up and run, and they've added some athleticism, and they've had some guys with some size kind of break out and mow, and it's given them some ability to really play up tempo. They have like the sixth best pace in the league right now. They've been getting up and down the floor, but like you said, it's been draining on them. They're missing a guy who's supposed to be taking a lot of minutes. So there's some people having to scale up. But no, I mean, they've just been really competing. And it's been great to see. I think there's a lot of guys that really needed the opportunity to kind of test their limits a bit. And Jalen specifically, he's getting some real opportunity to take some big shots down the end stretch of games. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think he would have got a lot of this even if Trey was here, but I think not having Trey here, he was forced to take it upon himself to really take some tough shots for this team. Yeah, it's just been a really fun team to watch. I like this team a lot. They've got some great personalities, and no, they've just been competing their asses off. I know there's some lineups that people don't like, but honestly, those guys stepping up and doing what they've had to do during this time has been big for this team. Hopefully, they can get some reduced minutes soon when Trey comes back, and the guys can keep rolling. But yeah, it's been fun. They've been some really good games, like win or lose. Like they've been in a lot of these games. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I think they've just been like really super competitive without Trey for like basically the entire season. Even like when they've been down like 20 or so points, they've always found ways to like just, come back, and I think that's really been impressive. I think the main thing, especially during the stretch, has been that they have to find a way to like generate like better half court offense. And you're seeing like without someone like KP and especially Trey, like not having that guy that they can really rely on in the half court right now is just like, it's really taking a toll, especially in like some of these clutch games. You've seen it against like the Clippers and I think what was that other game I'm trying to think of? I gotta look at the schedule so it can remind me. The against Detroit, yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's like games like those, like where they made this need like just one more bucket, and Denver, where they literally blew a 24-point lead. But then again, you could say, they're going against one of the best players in the world, right?
yeah.
But they still need like a better way to like just score in the half court generally, despite how good their defense has been as of late. So
Yeah,
I think
no,
that's Go ahead.
I would say that they've definitely had some stagnation, right, in the offense that's gone. They've had, for some reason, there's been like 3 minute stretches in like every few
Yeah.
games where they just can't score,
Yeah. It's
and
just
the other team
empty.
gets buckets on them. And it's hard to dig yourself out of those holes. And the style they're playing, it's a lot easier if they can get out ahead. But when you're having to claw back in, man, there's some really competitive defensive possessions. You're asking a lot of guys to play. They've upped their minutes too. I think they started intentionally kind of lower on some guys, but they've been playing big minutes lately. So yeah, they've been working really hard on both ends. It's not easy for them, but no, they're grinding.
I mean, I think that's the thing about this team being like so transition reliant, right? Especially with players like Dyson and Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to say this about like Jalen, but like with the way he's, advanced now, you can't really say that really anymore. But with Dyson and Zach, they're really reliant on like, pushing the ball, pushing the pace, getting
Yeah.
like transition buckets and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
if no one's really like, being able to push in transition, they're they're not really going to be able to like, especially like get a, consistent way of scoring. And like we're going to talk about a bit later about how those two players have had, you know, scoring slumps lately. So
Yeah.
I think it's gonna just be really interesting to see, especially after this like long break, see how they like, come out of this, hopefully this shooting slump, and see how they recover. But I do, since I did mention Dyson and Zach, I do want to mention their shooting slump a little bit. So let's talk about Dyson first. So Dyson Daniels has only shot 15.4% from three so far. It's gotten so bad that centers are now starting to guard him. He shot 55% from the free throw line in November. Um, in December, he shot 38.6% field goal percentage and only 8.3% from three. And he's only made 6 threes all year. So, what's your general thoughts on Dyson? I feel like it's a very interesting conversation with Dyson because he's the second leading person with like plus and minus. But despite that,
Mhm.
the offense is clearly, I think, not at the level I think you would expect of someone who just got that big extension as of late. So
No, yeah, I totally understand the concern, right? It's very complicated with Dyson. One, he doesn't look comfortable with his shot. I don't know if he's healthy or not. I've heard multiple people now kind of imply that there
something
could
wrong with his
have
hand.
been a thumb
Yeah.
thing at some point, and there may still be a thumb thing. He just doesn't look uncomfortable when he's letting it go. I don't know if that's confidence, health, or mechanics. He could just be in a slump, right? Those happen. But no, it's definitely been concerning. He doesn't really want to take those shots, and I think he has been working hard in his defense in other ways to try to contribute, right? And I think that's the big thing to remember with Dyson is like he was signed specifically to play like with a guy that can score and Trey, and I think without having him there, there's some shots that Dyson has to take now that he probably wouldn't have to take if Trey was there. Some possessions where the ball is in his hands where it might not otherwise be. I think he can be more of a play finisher in the half court for you. When you have Trey and Jalen able to be your primary ball handlers, I think him having been moved up the totem pole in that regard has kind of put the ball in his hands more. He's had to play above the break a little bit more. But no, I mean, honestly, if he's not healthy, I don't know when the shot will really come around. Hopefully, this break was good for his thumb. But no, you definitely want to see him start to see some go through so that confidence come back. The big thing with Dyson is shooting the ball right, and I don't think he's lost all his confidence. We've seen him take double-digit attempts, and once again, I think he took 16 the other night,
Yeah.
4 for 16 or 5 for 16, something like that. And when you see a guy keep shooting, that's a good thing. When he stops shooting, that would be more of an issue. Yeah, you definitely want him to take some of these open threes that he might be turning down, and hopefully that thumb will heal or whatever he's working on. They'll get ironed out, and he'll see some go through, and it'll take him more freely because a lot of it is just confidence and getting it up and not really caring. But if he's not healthy, then there's not much we can do there. But yeah, I think missing Trey probably hurts him a lot in that regard offensively, because there's some buckets that he was getting from Trey that he's not getting now. He was much better at driving to the rim last year, and he took a big jump there. But he was still getting a few dimes on the baseline from Trey and fast transition, like you're saying. I think you're talking about how Zach and Dyson are both transition reliant, and I think something Glenn mentioned, right, is that when Jalen gets the ball, it's grab and go, but Jalen's trying to go dunk it, and he's not really looking for someone to pass to necessarily, unless they send multiple people and build a wall. But for Trey, if he's pushing in transition, he's looking for a hit-ahead pass, for skip pass in the corner, or for a guy filling the lane to get a layup. So it's two different ideologies, really. And without Trey having his minutes on the court, maybe without Jalen some, or just the opportunities where Trey's bringing it up instead of Jalen, right, if they want to do something different. They're missing those buckets, and that's stuff that can get a guy going. So hopefully he can come back and Dyson can get some of that confidence and get rolling. But yeah, it's been hard to watch, but it's tough, man. He's such a good player, but that's definitely a weakness of his, and I didn't expect him to figure it out in one summer. You're hoping that over the course of this contract he can take a leap there as he gets closer to 25.
Yeah. I like you said, like the aggressiveness is something that I think is important for him to just keep up, even though he's like missing these shots. He has to take them like no matter what, because if he just stops taking them, then defenses will, they won't respect him anymore. If they don't respect him, it's just gonna make it harder for everyone else on the team, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it is good, to just see Dyson still just being aggressive overall, even though he's been having these nights where it's like 0-3, 0-5. Like, to me, it doesn't really matter as long as he's just taking these shots, right? Yeah, that's just what you want to see. I do think, like, despite all the discussion around him, there's still like some really undervalued stuff about him. Like, is it fair to say, like, I would say, should I say, like, he's the second best or probably like a top 3 rebounder on this team?
Probably. Oh, I mean, pound for pound, he's definitely – well, Jalen's the best rebounder. Yeah, Jalen's the best rebounder. For sure. Like, offensive rebounder, Dyson is really great.
Yeah, he's one of the best rebounders on the team.
Yeah.
Even if he's a guard, right?
Yeah, he really
and the playmaking, it took a jump, right?
Yeah, for
Stuff
sure.
Like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think people really, like, value that enough, especially with Trey being out, because that could help this team tremendously, especially with, like, some of the problems that we've been having with, like, the rebounding and, the lack of a backup point guard as of late. So I still think that, Dyson's still contributing a lot offensively, despite him not being like productive offensively with his, like, shooting from 3. The free throw thing, I honestly didn't really expect him to, improve that much. That's just gonna be him, I think. And I mean, that's fine. I don't really care at this point. As long as he's still like an elite defender, which he still is, I think that's gonna be fine. Yeah. But I think go ahead.
I was gonna say Dyson's value is there for sure.
Yeah.
And with the guys they have on this team that can score, you really do want to have someone who's a willing passer, that's willing to do all the dirty work stuff. I understand people's concern that he might be a liability, but I think there's ways, especially because he's such a good rebounder, you can put him in the dunker spot. He's a great finisher. He's still been good around the rim, even if his hand is bothering him. So there's ways they can use him. People start putting centers on him. You've heard Glenn talk about how, like, it's the coach's job to figure out how to use that, right? Because there are ways to attack that and not have him be a liability, quote unquote, on the floor, like as that word's been thrown around lately.
Yeah, it's just, I do think, like, it is fair to say that the Dyson conversation has gone a little bit off the rails. I mean, right? And
Yeah.
I think once Trey comes back, once he has like more of the load off of him, it Dyson will probably, look more like his normal self. Plus, if he does have that injury on his hand, he'll probably, look better as time goes on, especially with his hand, looking better. I mean, not looking better, but healed and better and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna be, time will just tell Dyson. I think the really interesting person is gonna be Zaccharie Risacher. That's I think that this is probably be the more controversial one because I don't know how to feel, right? I mean, you can go ahead because I know you have some thoughts about him. I mean, you always had thoughts about him, but you can go ahead, Chris, about the about like how he's performing because I think it's fair to say that he's in a pretty bad slump. Let me actually go over some stats. He's only shot 31% from three, 61.9% from the free throw line in November. In December, he's only averaging 7.8 points a game so far and shooting 10% from three. It's early in December, so that could change, but it's not looking great for him so far. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just been a kind of a rough go of it for Zach. I don't know if he's just out of a rhythm right now and timing's off. People are saying they're seeing things with his shot. I know he had that tumble where he fell on his back, and I don't know if that's still bothering him or what happened. But I mean, he could really just be in a slump. There's an argument that he needs Trey to come back to like give him a few more of the shots in his spots, right, that he needs, and maybe they can run some more of their scripted stuff for him. And the live dribble passing Trey can provide can get Zach some of the looks he needs. But yeah, it's just kind of been rough right now. I mean, he kind of had a slow start to last season too. I don't know if that's like going to be a thing for him in his career. Like athletes are kind of like that sometimes. People take time to get warmed up. I think he's shooting around what he was around this time last year. If so, then right January 1st he could start to take off, right? But I think it's just something he's going to have to work through. These things happen to you in your career, and I don't know if he's like shooting so badly that it's like his shot is broken, really. But his role, he doesn't get a crazy amount of touches and a crazy amount of shots to really get going. So he has to be efficient. So when he's not, it can kind of look worse than maybe it is. So hopefully he can get going. But yeah, those are two guys that I think are thrive as play finishers offensively, as scorers, right? Dyson can play make a bit and contribute in other ways. But I think they need the half court juice that Trey provides as a playmaker. Jalen has been doing his thing for sure, but they are very different players in how they kind of go about it. And Trey is much more manipulative as a playmaker, and like they can really kind of get the shots they're looking for. And he's got the more experience as a point guard and can keep guys involved, which is a thing that Jalen will have to kind of work on, right, as lead ball handler. Decision maker. But yeah, I think it could just be a rhythm thing, and Zach could need a hot night to kind of get going. And yeah, it's tough. He's the shots. That role is not easy for a young player, right? Because the shots will be like there one night and they won't be there another night, and you have to be ready every night. And I think it's just something he's got to get used to. He's got to get stronger with his base so he can be consistent in his mechanics, so that when he does get those opportunities, he can knock them down.
I think when you mentioned about the slow start, I find it interesting that last season his overall worst month was in December, and right now his worst month right now in the season is December.
Yeah.
So maybe like we're just getting another repeat where, like you said, it's just having another slow start, and like that fall he had, maybe it's something with him. I'm just kind of interested like what's going on, because maybe it is just a slump, because I'm just kind of surprised about how like bad he's playing, because in the beginning of the season, like he was playing like pretty okay, especially in like, early November, but then um, he had that like tumble, and all of a sudden he just kind of just sputtered basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if maybe like something about his confidence just kind of got shooken up, or maybe this is just a normal slump because it's just been a few weeks like this. So
Yeah, I mean
I
it's so early in
yeah,
the
go ahead.
season, right? That a
Yeah,
lot of things can be really noisy, and he might need another 10 games just to iron it out, right? So that the law of averages plays out and his numbers can look a little better. Because, like I said, like he doesn't get a lot of shot. He's not taking 10 threes a night. So with his like 4 or 5, he's got to hit them, like, and he's not going to get too many chances because this is a team that's like really trying to win and lock in. So he's not like, if he's not rolling, the ball might not find him as freely over the course of the game, and then he's not closing every game. So it can be tough to get into a rhythm.
yeah. It's gonna be like really hard for him. Like sometimes, I mean, we already seen it. Like sometimes in the games where like sometimes like they just straight up ignore him for like someone like Nah or Onyeka for like some of these other shots because they're on a roll or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna be interested to see why he does for like the rest of November, to see if it's just gonna be a repeat of last season, because this was his like worst month from last year or so. And if it is like literally the exact same, then hopefully he does improve and we maybe get to see him shoot like 50% like he did last year. So we'll
Yeah.
see. In my opinion, I don't think I'm super worried about Zach, because I saw him shoot better than this last season. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
expect him to like really regress, honestly. What about you?
No, I don't think his floor as a shooter is like 29% bad over the course of a whole season. I don't. I mean, there could be some streakiness to his game, but
Yeah.
he's so young, right? You can't really determine that just yet. You really just kind of have to watch it happen over the course of a few seasons, and then we kind of pick up patterns, right, and figure it out. And some like it's a thing in baseball, right? You got guys that turn it on the second half of the season for whatever
Yeah.
reason, and Zach could just be one of those guys. But he's also really young, and his role is something that more veteran guys usually do, or like those spark plug guards, right? You're seeing like Reed Shepherd kind of have some success in it.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I've heard some people talk about, like how he came from Europe and they played more in structure. And I don't know if that's what it is, but I do know that Trey coming back would help him get some more transition threes. I
Yeah.
think Trey will be looking for more in those opportunities, which are big shots for him. And if they are trying to like dial up some things, just having Trey on ball with Jalen allows them to like have Dyson or double O set screens for Zach, and maybe to get some looks in the half court, right? Some pin downs and stuff. So hopefully they can get some more scripted half court actions for Zach, which I think really could be the thing that kind of unlocks him, because I think he just might need to feel it. And there was something like with Dre, they used to always run the first play of the game for him, and they do that a lot for Zach. Well, and it'll be a multi-action thing, right? It's not necessarily just for Zach, right? But he'll have an action. KP will come off of something, right? And they'll do a few things. So you might need to get Zach into some actions more. And maybe when he gets rolling, they'll do that, and the numbers will turn around. And it could just be like he's off right now. I don't know. Maybe it's the cold, but yeah, we'll have to see how he looks moving forward. I mean, the further away from the fall, the better you'd think. So hopefully he can, after this break, he's had some time to iron out his shot and get feeling good about it. Because I think he is a guy that has shown he's like, I don't know if microwave is the word, but like when he sees it go through, right, the confidence is there and he's willing to take them, and more will go through. So he could just need one of those nights to kind of light the fire.
Yeah, I agree with that because we see him before. Like there are nights where he can just explode. Like
Hmm.
last season during this time against the Knicks, he just went off for 30, and he was basically one of the reasons why we won that game. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think with Zach, it's gonna be interesting. But I do want to actually talk about another player that I think is gonna be interesting to see the future of. It's gonna be Kristaps Porzingis. I was gonna talk about star trades now, but the reason why I mentioned this before talking about the trades is because Porzingis's name has been like mentioned a lot. You know, to as we're recording this, right? He is he is out for tomorrow's game because of just listed as illness. Um, this will be his 13th game he missed. We Tomorrow will be our 26th game played for the season, and Kristaps Porzingis has played only 13 games. So basically, he missed half the season already. So, before we go to the trades, I want to ask you: at this point, do you think would you think I'm trying I keep trying to phrase this wrong. Do you think it will probably be a good idea for the Hawks to potentially trade Porzingis right now for a center or a wing or another starting caliber player at this point, considering all we know about him, about his like POTS syndrome, his illness and stuff, despite the fact that you know he clearly raises the offense for this team. He helps with the half court. The offensive rating is
Yeah.
119.6. It's good, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, right. And the EPM calculators say that he's like top 10 player this year.
Yeah,
Um,
2.9 EPN, 94th percentile.
he's but yeah, when the guy's only played in half the games, it's really difficult. I think this is a team that I think if they had more firepower, like Boston did, you can kind of not care when he's there and when he's not. But the Hawks desperately need what he does offensively. I think he raises their half court ceiling a lot, and he's one of the few veterans on the team. He's a lot of the length they brought in this offseason, uh, mostly just him. And when he's only played half the games, you can't depend on that. The It's been so sporadic that I don't even know that you can say, well, if we get to the playoffs, right, we can use him in a playoff series, right? Because
Because you
I
don't know if
don't
he's gonna be there.
yeah, I don't know if he can play like the whole series, right? Or give me 4 out of 7. I don't even know if I can get that out of him right now. So I think as for a Hawks team, you need much more certainty and the availability of a guy that's making the amount of money that he's making, given the payroll constraints. I think it would make a lot of sense to turn that 30 million into another starting level player. Primarily on the wing. But if it's a big, so be it, right? But you really just kind of need to get more value for that money for this team if you're trying to win games. And yeah, I think KP, in an ideal world, he's a great piece for this team. He's just not available. And if he was missing a third of the games, I could feel a lot more comfortable. But literally half of it so far, and then the illness isn't even POTS for some of these misses, right? He's saying it's something else, which I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
we
like
don't know.
immune
It could be
system.
POTS. They may just not be
Yeah,
saying it.
yeah, it
Like,
could be. I don't know. Yeah, but if his immune system is like this jacked up, where you're only going to get 41 games, right? We're on track for at this point. So maybe 3.5 games in a playoff series that goes 7. Uh, I can't miss you for game 2 and game 4. Those are really important games in a playoff series. So yeah, I would definitely try to move him. I think there's some teams that are going to be more than willing to take on an expiring contract. I think the I've been looking at it more like they're trading that pick the long way, like he was just a holding piece at this point. It was a great low risk, high reward, And when he's played, you've gotten almost 20 points a game out of him and a couple blocks. He's up to 36% from three right now. So there are teams that might think like, if I bring him in and just get him to the playoffs, we have a piece that we can deploy. But for the Hawks, I think they kind of need more from that role. So maybe I think he could appeal to some contenders or tanking teams. I think that's the good thing with his 1 year deal. So I think moving him shouldn't be that hard. If you're really interested in moving him, I don't know what Ansi's big plan is. I don't know if this has been part of the plan, right? To go really light early in the season. They are missing Trey, and I feel like a big part of his game was supposed to be playing with Trey. So not having him, maybe they're running more stuff that doesn't really fit him, and they're looking at matchups. I don't really know, right? We're not in the room. I would love to be a fly on the wall to kind of figure out how these decisions are being made and why he's playing, why he's not. But yeah, for me, I want a guy that can play much more. Honestly, even if it's two guys, right, that can just give me some veteran play, because I think this is a team that has a really good chance to make the playoffs this year, and you just can't have one of your starting players that started opening day and that you wanted to have like closing games and playing a bunch of minutes for you just not playing at all. That's almost game breaking, and it's something it should have hurt this team more, right, in the first 26 games or so, but they've really overcome it, and that's been a testament to how well Jalen, Double O, and Nah have been playing, right? These are three guys that have shown that they can just pop off for 25 right now, and they've really been taking advantage of Trey being out and KP being out. I joke a lot sometimes about, like, when a guy like Giannis is getting traded, like Kuzma and Miles Turner are, like, rubbing their hands, right? They can't wait to get those 20 shots a game, and these guys got that opportunity. Like Trey gone, like they're like, Jalen, all right, it's all you, man. And KP's out, so now Double O gets to be a starter again, right? So these guys are jacked up, and they've been playing their asses off. So it's been good to see them. And I think with the way they've been playing, I'm comfortable moving KP. You are a little vulnerable, right? Because now you're asking Mo to play much more center than you probably planned. You don't have N'Faly Dante. Asa is a rookie, but he looks like kind of a baller. But that's also a lot to ask for a rookie, right? So I think moving KP, if you bring in a vet that understands like his job is to like play a little and help Asa along and get him ready for maybe giving you like 8 minutes in a playoff game, like that you just need like to rest somebody. I think, yeah, moving KP, I don't know if it would be a game breaker, but I do know that if he's sick, that would be game breaking for this team. So,
yeah, it's just right now, like at this point, I'm just questioning it. Let's say we do keep him for the entirety of the season, right? With this disorder, with the POTS disorder he has, I think it's a legitimate question to ask: does he even play 41 games? Like we don't even know. Like, and with how talented Porzingis is, I think the idea is that, you know, his offense and his ability to block shots could really elevate this offense and defense, you know, to potentially to just, you know, to at least above average levels to, you know, get into the top six. But if he's not going to be here, we've seen Onyeka, like you said, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Onyeka, Jalen were able to handle this stuff. And yeah, they're in the ninth seed, but clearly we may be able to just get pieces on our own and be able to like just salvage something from the situation, right? Mm-hmm. And at this point, it's just, I don't know what else you can do with it right now because he's just not playing any games. Like, yeah, he's very talented. I've seen like people saying, oh, why would you trade him? Like, he's really, really talented. It's just, it's really, really hard to just do something with a player if they're just not available. And I know with Porzingis, I think there's always an expectation that he's probably not going to play games because there have been seasons where he's only played 50-something games, high 40s, low 60s. But even then, like he has this disorder now, and that honestly changes everything. So that could be something that could just be like incredibly, incredibly difficult to just play basketball with. So I would honestly say that if they trade him for like someone, I probably wouldn't be that mad. I would be disappointed with how it ended up. I wouldn't be mad at it simply because he's just we we just can't rely on someone that's you know not available all the time. Like already he's literally missing half the games. And
Yeah.
I did you expect him to miss like half the games this early already? Like
No, I mean, I don't
I
know
need
anyone
I
projected 40
yeah,
starts for
because
him.
obviously the back to backs. Now I'm playing that. Obviously that was expected.
Mhm.
Stuff like that. I expected that. It's just this like this is gonna be a problem, you know.
And
So
honestly, for me, I think we've said like there's a huge OO camp, right? That was like
yeah,
really upset when KP came in. They're like, oh, it needs to start. And I was like, you're probably gonna start 30 games anyway. But that was me thinking KP would have more knee issues and other nicks and knacks from playing. But this dude is just in a sick bed, right? And they
yeah,
can't figure out the illness and manage it. And I think if for this team, I don't think that's doable. Like maybe the Rockets or somebody that's like rocking and rolling. The Thunder can just bring him in and stash him and use him like Bill Walton for the Celtics in the '80s and just bring him
yeah,
on when they feel like it. But this team like really needs something from that
yeah.
money.
They're trying to be top six. Like
Yeah,
they're trying to
and you're already
go
missing
playoffs.
40 million from Trey, who's out with the knee still, and now you have a guy who's like not actually like worn down from games. He just literally can't even play. So that's 70 mil from this team just like missing most nights, and it's as like I said, it's a testament to them, and they've been competing their asses off. They're missing their two most experienced guys on the roster, and they've been competing. So yeah, it's for me, I feel like you almost like owe it to the players. Like I'm one of those guys. Like if they're competing like this and like in the conversation, then you have to find a way to turn KP into a guy that can help them.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I'm at this point, and I'm gonna ask you this about the first trade that we're gonna talk about. Um, would you trade for Anthony Davis?
That's the worst part about this, right? Is that it's like injury prone guy for like injury prone guy,
Yeah,
and AD's just like he wasn't even playing for like a long time. I think he just recently came back, and he didn't look like he was in like the best shape before, and then he got hurt. I think if AD had like been playing 25 games so far this season and looked like he was like best shape of my life, Anthony
I mean you
Davis.
can do
That's
that by
like
the trade deadline. You can do that by trade deadline.
P90X. Does he have like enough time to get a full
I mean I don't
days
know.
in?
Maybe we'll see.
But he really, I love Anthony Davis. Don't get me wrong. This is like it's because he was one of my favorite players for a really long time. I think game breaking or game changing defender. Right, he can just control a game, and then offensively, he's a guy that can put it in the basket and has what average. He's averaging like 20 and 10 for his career. Um, and I think he deserves more depoy votes than he's gotten. But to be fair, that's probably because of the injuries. Because I was looking at his basketball reference page, and I'm like, man, you just don't play the amount of games that like we really needed you to play to be like the type of player that you're supposed to be as Anthony Davis. Man, I feel like he's supposed to be bigger in like the grand scheme of NBA history than he's been. And the ring with LeBron is great, but other than that, like he's had a healthy stretch with the Lakers, but everywhere else it's just been kind of just in and out of the lineup, and it's day to day Davis as they call him, right? You don't know what's going to happen, and his stuff isn't a sickness. It's like these weird fluke injuries, and I don't know if it's just his body's too athletic for like his joints to handle or something, and he just ends up in these weird situations. But He's a guy that can't stay in the lineup. Now, if you're talking about like the talent Anthony Davis is, yes, right. I want that type of talent on the team, but it's just I feel like it's just a lateral move because it's another guy that you don't know if he's going to be in and out of the lineup. Now, there's much more certainty with a guy like Anthony Davis being able to keep him healthy than Kristaps, right? If you shrink AD's minutes and tell him and cultivate his role, carve it out so that he's not in situations to hurt himself and keep him under control in the regular season, you might be able to get him there, right? Regular rest. He's not going to – I don't think that if without some fluke injury, he's not missing half the games, right, just for illness. So there's that possibility, right, where you can get more value from AD. But for me, it's like if we're going to make a deal, then I would look for a guy that you can depend on. Now, there's a price where AD is like a free roll, right? But if you're talking about giving up any type of draft assets or anything other than like expiring money, which I'm not even that excited about giving up Kennard in the AD deal just because that shrinks our bench a little bit more.
Yeah.
And we like that's a shooter that could be valuable and someone you need. Like at some point throughout the season, you're going to need him to hit like 4 or 5 threes. And losing him for AD would be – if AD plays, awesome, right? But if he's out, man, it's just – I think that's a risk that I wouldn't want to take. I would prefer to do something else. Now, obviously, you can't find something else, and AD is there, and it's a free roll, and it's just swapping out expiring salary for AD, and we're like, all right, man, we're going to get you healthy. All right. We're going to sit you off for a little bit, and we're going to have you on this minutes restriction during the regular season. And the postseason, we just need to give us 30 every other day because they don't play back-to-backs in the playoffs, right? You just if you get AD to the playoffs, that's right. This is the argument, right? You get AD to the playoffs, he'll be able to play. Just get him there healthy. Mm-hmm. KP, this dude gonna wake up and he can't stand up straight. Like dude, that's like literally, it's not okay. I can't work with that if we can't manage this illness better. So if it's AD and the price is right, I'm not mad at it. That's just not necessarily where I would go.
I mean, with AD, the rebounding will be a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a rim protector, right?
And he moves way better, right? Everything they want to do defensively, he fits that a lot better.
I don't know about the transition stuff that we do. It probably won't be good.
No.
Because, right. And what else? I looked up his contract, $54 million,
right.
58, $62 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's I don't know. That's it's not great. And his jumper's cooked, 100% cooked. So if he was like 2 years younger, I would probably do it. But if he was 2 years younger, we won't be able to get him for free. So
And some of the stuff people were talking about getting for AD, I'm like, buddy, y'all need to do this like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, if y'all are trying to
get
some of this stuff for Anthony Davis. Like, I will give you a lot for AD 4 years ago. Today.
But I just feel like where we are right now, it probably won't make sense to just do it. I mean, we were in this cap situation like a few years ago where it was just really bad. And let's just say we do get Anthony Davis. If he gets injured again, that's $50 million we can't move. So I probably won't do it as much as I think it would be interesting. I just think if we do move like someone like Kristaps, it will probably be better just to move him for like a better backup center, potentially for Onyeka, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this just Anthony Davis is interesting. That would be an interesting player next to Trae.
I was gonna say he might need Trae Young as much as like we need him defensively, just because like you were talking about how his jumper is cooked. I'm like, I'm thinking about like AD being because he can handle the ball a little bit for a big, right, and he can move it. He's just not a great jump shooter, and he takes some shots you wouldn't want a leader of your offense to take a lot. He's not great from the mid range to take as many as he takes. But if you have Trae Young getting that dude layups and dunks, and Jalen Johnson getting that dude layups and dunks, AD able. The issue is he'd be playing more center than he wants to, so he's matching up. He doesn't have like his size advantage on these guys, and he's gonna have to be banging. So if you turn AD into more of a play finisher, like an elite play finisher, I think there's some value to extract there on both ends. He does hurt the transition, right? He's not going to run up and down with those guys as much, but I mean, as a trailer coming down and being able to get to the rim and finish, I think he's a big that can put his drives, right, playing off the catch, maybe some short roll stuff, could really be impactful for this team. And a way to keep Jalen out of that middle area and have him play more above the break. So it's not my preferred move, like I said, right? But if you actually can get him healthy and into this system, like a lot of those shots a double O is taken, like around that restricted area, all those floater range shots. If you can get AD down there, man, with these playmakers, right? There's some
Cash
buckets.
Money.
Yeah, there's some buckets
to
be finished. So, I mean, if AD is free, right? But here's the thing about the money, right? It's like, I don't know what their plan is, like how they wanted to spend the money. If this is like, if you can get AD and keep all the picks that they have, right, you still have cost control players coming in, but most of your roster is locked up for at least the next 2 years. Double O is signed, Trae's on a player option next year, and then if you bring in AD, maybe probably give him at least another 2 years or something. You have like a thing figured out for at least 2 years, and you still have some picks. That last year is a lot of money. I don't know exactly what their plan is for the roster and who they're like targeting in free agency. Free agency is like kind of hit or miss. No, I don't think anyone knew he was going to be as good as he was for this team. Like he was a nice signing. We were like, oh, he's going to be a good defender, and like we didn't even pay him that much, right? I don't know if there's like another value. Like obviously it could happen. I don't know if that value is going to be there every offseason in free agency. So it's really up to Ansi to kind of he has to look 2 years down the line and kind of figure that out. Now, I think the fact that AD's deal isn't like 5 full years and like super duper max where he's like locked up for like a full contract, I think that would scare them off. But if it is free and then it's AD for 3 years and you're like, all right, I got Jalen Johnson, $30 million a year for the next 3 years, right? You just add AD's salary on top of that and divide by 2. It's like not that bad of a value, and it's taking advantage of it a little bit. But yeah, it really just depends on what their long-term plan is for the payroll, and if maximizing like or minimizing draft cost in any trades is big for them, and you can do that. You can bring in AD and then just like randomly draft Darren Peterson or AJ Debansa. I feel like you have a team that's like has got a weird amount of talent now. And then you have another lottery pick coming from the Bucks if they blow it up, right? So and then you still have AD and whoever else.
They could be good. They could be.
It's a very interesting team, right? Yeah. So and you have the infrastructure to keep him healthy as long as he doesn't pick up an illness or something. But you can get AD down to 60 games for the Hawks, which is way better than 40 games from KP. But you can get him down to 60 games, regular rest. Double O is ready to start every game, right? Or start next to AD if you really are thinking about moving Jalen to the 3, and you can make AD really happy because he says he doesn't want. He says he will play a little center, right? So I'll start you at the 4, man. Like you only got to give me like maybe 14 minutes or so at the 5, and we'll figure it out. Because they have the Mo and Asa. They have the bigs to keep AD healthy if they did want to bring him in. So you're just worried about like the big seasoning and the injury, and he's a guy that where you think it's probably coming soon. You don't know when he's going to hit that wall. That's the worry with Anthony because of all the injuries over the years.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right? And like you said, like the roster direction, like we have no clue. I mean, I feel like a part of me feels like they just are trying to just keep it, young right now. They just want to build up this team. So maybe they just don't want to just get like an older player, just mess up their cap situation again. Yeah, but we'll see. But let's talk about the main attraction player. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo. Uh, I'll let you start because you were grinning. You're excited to talk about it.
It's
I
just
mean, go ahead.
he's just
Would you
one.
trade for him?
It just there's a price where you move off of it, right? Obviously, I think there's I understand people that don't want to move like the Pels pick, right? Um, I've been talking about there's a lot of ways to play it. I don't know if you can get them to swap the swaps in 26, right? And you get the worst of the two, and maybe you're sitting at 5 or 6, and you still have Giannis on the roster. I feel like that's a crazy value play. But I think when it comes down to it, right, and you're the Hawks and you're trying to like get to the next level in this organization, and that's if they're trying to get to the next level as an organization. I'm not really sure what their plan is for this next stretch of Jalen Johnson's career, right? I think you have a guy that's like turning into a star, and you probably do want to win with him as he's turning into a star. So I think Giannis gives you a really good opportunity to kickstart this thing and kind of getting out of the middle into that top threshold is not easy. And I think Giannis being one of the best players in the world still, I think he's a top 3 player, like almost unanimously. Uh, I don't know how many people would argue that. And he's a guy that for me, I would say he's best in the world just because he's a two-way big. And I think he offers way more defensively than Joker does anyway. And you're getting 30 and 12 still, and I think he's having the most efficient season of his career. He's just an amazing player. He's become one of my favorite players over the years. That dominant finals game where he scores 50 to take the ring home, man. He was just such a competitor and the type of player that I think would really change your locker room. I think Giannis is a guy that would make players better because of the competition, right? And the guy that he would be on the practice floor, how hard he works. I think the example that he sets, it would be great for this team. I think you have to make that call and at least explore it to see if there's a price you can get to that makes sense. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that he's going to sign an extension. So I wouldn't do anything crazy unless you know Giannis is going to be here for the next 5 years or so. And really have like the Jalen Giannis like insane wing duo of like dreams for a while. But if he's not interested in the extension, obviously you move off of it. I've said for a while it's not the value play, right? Honestly, you might want to help someone get Giannis to get something back in return. You have multiple picks tied to them that are that would be valuable to the Pels, and I think helping anyone get Giannis and getting a wing back would be great. But if you have a chance to get one of the best players in the NBA, those guys typically don't move while they are one of the best players in the NBA. Like it's super rare. Most of the examples are like older players or like much older than a guy that's like still getting top 3 MVP votes, right? Like those guys don't move. And when you have a chance to get one, and you have a guy on your roster right now that I think everybody believes in Jalen Johnson. I'm not going to say the other guy's name because I think he's very talented too, and you have a chance to have 3 really, really good players together with some other pieces that really fit and can make them work. I think you have to explore the Giannis trade if you have an opportunity to get him. I think that's franchise altering for an organization. And there are people that have like used like the Clippers and some other teams like as examples for like why you don't make these trades. But for me, a lot of these teams like have had the best stretch in their franchise history after some of these trades. Maybe even if they don't win a ring, right? You're going now. You're winning 50 games, and you're like a top 2 seed, and you're going into the playoffs, right? And you have these battles. I think there's value to that, and I think ring culture kind of loses that perspective, right? And I think obviously you bring in Giannis, you want to win, but if you bring in Giannis and you go to the finals twice and you don't win, I don't know if people are like if people are gonna be that mad about it. Like that's crazy to me. I'm like, dog, I got to see my team go to the finals. That alone would be crazy. You saw them win the Eastern Conference Finals. I know how people would be freaking out. Like if you have a couple finals runs, like the joy of like no, you say that now, but the episodes we're gonna be filming if the Hawks win the Eastern Conference Finals and Giannis is the MVP, you'll be freaking out, right?
You're right, but
there's value in that.
You don't get credit for trying. I
don't know, man.
You don't get credit for trying. Okay?
I think people don't.
Nobody remembers when the Falcons won the NFC Championship in 2016. Do you remember that?
I mean,
you don't. No, like you don't get credit for trying stuff. Okay, at the end of the day, it's whether you win or you don't. That's what people care about, right? Am I wrong? Like,
I think it's more complicated than that.
I mean, you're right.
That's why I do think ring coach. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm a competitor, and I understand. The ultimate goal is to win a championship, and I think if you have Giannis, you get to the finals, you have a chance to win the championship. I don't know that. Like I'm just. This was just a hypothetical that like you get there and you lose. I'm like people are like I've heard people say like, oh, what you make the finals, like oh, and then you lose. I'm like, how many times have you seen your team play a finals game? Like it's crazy to me that people that have never seen the Hawks really even win the Eastern Conference like finals like ever are like turning their nose up at losing in the finals. Like you get that close, you know you have a really good team, man. And all you need is something to go your way, bro. The Pacers almost beat the Thunder last year. And that went to 7 games. Tyrese Halliburton blew his Achilles out. The Hawks go to the finals and the wrong person on the Thunder picks up an injury, then you guys we're taking a ring home, a trophy home, and people are freaking out. Like you can't look, when Kevin Durant went to the Thunder or went to the Warriors, I thought they had broken basketball forever. But then they all got hurt because they went to the finals for like 5 years in a row. And if you go to the finals that much, you're going to be injured. So at some point, right, I think a team that is aggressive has the chance to beat this team that still has to make it back to the finals, right? They still have to get there. Like as great as they are, we don't know if they're going to be there. Per se, I saw the Warriors go to multiple game 7s on the road. So they were down to Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant let them come back before he went to Golden State. So you never really know how those things are going to go, man. I didn't expect the Pacers to make the finals last year. I think when you get yourself to the dance, you have no clue how it's going to go out. You just want to get there and see what happens. Anything can happen. And I think the idea that people should just like punt the NBA to the Thunder for like the next 3 years, like and just let them like win and nobody try and like everybody tank is like so uncompetitive for it to me. Like it just doesn't really register. I think they have weaknesses as a group. Obviously, they're a great team, but they're also a bunch of guards, man. And if you come in there with Giannis and Jalen Johnson, that's not as easy to guard as people make it sound. So I think there's value in winning, even if you don't get a championship. I know the Thunder are a boogeyman, and people are afraid to like be aggressive right now. And don't get me wrong, I want to keep the Pels pick, right? By any means, it'd be awesome to keep it, and I don't want to just give that up for Giannis. But also, there's ways to play it, and I think this team should be trying to get better, even though the Thunder are good. I don't think that they are a reason to like not try to improve your team. Like it's crazy to me. Like, why did we sign Nickeil Alexander-Walker at all for the next 4 years if we're like just going to give up to the Thunder and just let them win everything? I don't know what the plan is.
I mean, I don't. How am I gonna try to phrase this? I don't think we're like necessarily like trying to like give up to the Thunder or anything. Like, obviously, we're trying to compete and be like a top 6 seed, get to the playoffs and stuff. Because it's been like how long since it's been since we actually played in a playoff game? Like 2023, I think.
Oh yeah,
Celtics. Yeah, I mean that's the goal this year, right? Just win a series, maybe potentially go really, really far since the East is like so weird this year, right? I think my thing is that one, it's obviously that 2026 pick. Like, even if they trade for Giannis, like it's really hard for me to just give away that pick, especially with some of these players that are in this draft class, like AJ. I can't even say his last name right now. AJ Dybinasta, Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer. Like, I'm not gonna say the word generational, but these guys could be like really good players that could instantly impact his roster, day one, and then not only that, like the history of like some of these trades does like honestly scare me. Dame and Giannis, Trey and DeJounte Murray, like stuff like that. There's a bad precedent to it. And a part of me is just thinking, okay, I really do want to try and just push in all the chips, but right now we're the 9th seed. And what if we get Giannis and this just doesn't go to plan? If this doesn't go to plan and we just trade like our picks and stuff, that's it. That's it for like 5 years. So, and we may not even be able to like get out the East or even get past the second round of the playoffs. We have to start over in like 5 years. And that's troublesome to me. I'd rather try and find like a way to be like more sustainable in the future than, try and trade for Giannis when we're still playing team right now, especially with, I think, some of the deficiencies we have on this team right now. And I get the point of like, with the East being weak and how dominant the Thunder are. But like you said, like stuff happens all the time. Like the Thunder literally had like multiple 7-game series. Like they were an Achilles injury away for basically possibly losing. So even if they're going for all-time pace right now, they may not win the finals. You never know what could happen.
Yeah.
So me, right? Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is like, I do think that sustainability as a concept in professional sports is a little impossible, especially in today's.
I get it. Yeah, it makes sense. It's hard
because the team can only be together for so long, and you kind of have to decide when your window is and like go for it. Because if you draft every year, you're gonna have to start signing extensions, and then people are gonna have to get traded, and so that keeps going. And so I think if you have to be calculated with how you attack it, right? I don't think you can just give away the farm for Giannis if you're trying to go for him. I don't want to give away the farm for anybody. I don't want to go. If you kept it 3 picks, I think you're fine there. The Hawks have some maneuverability to give that away and still be drafting players over the next few years while still having a young team, right? Already having some young guys that they still are developing. But they have started signing guys to extensions already, right?
Yeah.
And once you have started signing guys to extensions, you're not necessarily just drafting to draft. I feel like you need to be trying to win. Now, if you're trying to like keep drafting and drafting, then they probably need to start trading people in the next couple of years because the value for those guys is going to be the highest when their contracts are lower
they set up a time
when their
right
next
now,
deals. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know what their internal timeline is, right? That's the thing
Yeah,
with Giannis. So they could be looking for this. Now, I don't know that. I don't think that Giannis was like their goal. I think they wanted to be opportunistic, right? And I
yeah,
think they have a team that's like young, but they're also have the top half is already to like be competitive. They've all finishing their rookie deals for the most part, other than Zach. So I think they're at one of those weird points where they do kind of really have to decide if they're trying to go for it or go back to the draft and develop a new guy. And it's kind of like where the Cavs were, I feel like, with Garland on them before they went and got Mitchell, and like
yeah.
then they kind of took off. So I think for the Hawks, it's about finding a deal that makes sense, man. And I'll say it a million times over, like Giannis isn't the value play. He's the best player available, but he's not the
It's
value play.
it's the go all
Um,
in. Just
yeah,
push all your chips in,
well,
kind of.
I don't know that would cost all your chips. That's the crazy thing about
Yeah,
Giannis right
I
now.
mean, because
And
of all the trades that happened with like KD and stuff.
yeah,
Like
because of
people are
those
scared.
trades and because of the picks that you have tied to them, like I think honestly, I'm building a statue. If Anzi can really try to like sell them on swapping the swaps, man, it's like, look, you don't
I
want to
mean,
be
if
signing two rookies to a max in the same summer. You don't want two lottery picks in this draft.
if
You just want
Anzi
one.
gets
So just
Giannis
swap
without
that.
trading that 26 pick, he's probably the greatest GM of all time.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
yeah,
say it right now. Like
yeah, for
I
sure.
don't think it's gonna happen, but if he does
No,
that, I mean,
no.
I'm
I'm
he's gonna be. I'm building a
I'm
statue for him
pretty sure Giannis is gonna end up in like Miami or something.
or the Knicks.
Yeah,
he already
but
got an apartment.
we do have like I said it last year before we even got the other Pels pick. I was like, we have the best offer for Giannis. If the Hawks were trying to get Giannis, I was like, we have the best offer. And then we got even more assets that gave us like an even better offer. And but then Jalen kind of took himself off the table. But then they still have multiple picks tied to them,
Yeah,
and they have expiring salary. They have a young player. They have a chance to like shock the world, and people bring up every trade that like didn't work, but Shaquille O'Neal was traded to the Miami Heat from the Los Angeles Lakers at 32 years old, I believe. Might have been like a year or two older than what Giannis is now. He was still a near MVP caliber player, first team All NBA. They had Dwayne Wade, who was around the same age I think Shaq is now. He was, or Jalen is now. He was like 23. I think
yeah,
they like
he was,
made him untouchable. And 2006,
and they
win a
won a chip.
championship, man, because you have a guy like that who's still amazing, right? I think people are like talking about Giannis, like his regression is going to be from like 30 a game to like 15 a game in like one summer. I don't think that's happening. I think he's got like five more 25 and 12s coming. I think if Giannis ever decides he wants to move to center, he has the tools to be dominant there. So I think his career is far from over as a All NBA player. So there's a chance that you can get a good price for Giannis and compete, and you have a guy that's a blossoming superstar in Jalen Johnson, who would really benefit from having that guy really taking the pressure off here and there and taking the attention from the defense. Because, man, I've been thinking about Jalen and Giannis in transition so much. Like, Giannis rebound, run up the floor, and Jalen going on the other wing, and Jalen rebound, run up the floor, Giannis going up the other wing. Like, man, this is terrible. They would – it's what Franz and Paolo are trying to do just on steroids, right? Just way better on a way different level. Jalen's a much better passer than either of those guys. I think Giannis is a better playmaker than either of those guys, much better scorer. Like, I think putting those two together would be amazing. And I think you do have the passing in Dyson, Trey, and then in Naw at the point of attack to really be dangerous with that group, man. And I think that's the last thing the Thunder want is two guys 6'9" that will put Chet in the rim every possession. They will put him in the rim.
I was gonna ask this last question before we get to final thoughts. If we do a Giannis trade, do you think Trey will be here?
I think if you're doing a Giannis trade, you would keep Trey. I think if you're trying to be win now, it would surprise me for them to move like their most experienced playoff performer. Um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think the trade noise is like a yearly thing, but now they actually have a winning record, so it's louder than usual. But for me, if I'm getting Giannis and I'm like trying to make a finals run, I don't know that I would be quick to get rid of Trey. I would watch him be the reason I didn't win before I did that, because I think he can help those guys a lot
I
in the
think
half court.
it's hard for me to say because, like, on one hand, like, how am I trying to say this? I think you may have to just put him because I know they said like they're not gonna give out as many like picks or assets, so I feel like maybe like interpreting it that way, maybe like the value of player has to be higher. Like I don't know, that's just me how I'm interpreting it, something like that. But maybe it's possible like you can keep trading something like that. Honestly, it's just weird, especially with how you hear reports about how Giannis is maybe like trade value is gonna be lower than someone like KD.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, no, I mean the thing, this new CBA is the main culprit, I think, of all like the trade value issues for a lot of the
mhm.
stars, because it's become kind of similar to like what happened in baseball. Because when these guys are on super deals, like nobody wants to give up like their top prospects for them, or like they're about
Yeah,
to have to like pay this guy $200 million, $300 million. I don't want to give you everything I have because then I have to give this guy all my money at the same time. So it's just the amount of money they make just for teams, especially during the season. That's like they really handicap themselves by waiting during the season, because there's half as many suitors, if that, right? Maybe even less,
and
because
then
it's
you
only
got
teams.
second print
Yeah,
consequences.
you've
So
got you've got all those penalties. Teams are hard capped. There's just less teams that have the maneuverability to even try to bring in a guy like Giannis. And then it's like kind of the worst possible year for them to be trying to do this, because you have teams that have decided like months ago they were letting go of the rope and they're just trying to tank. So yeah, it's there's just not as many buyers, and that's what drives a market up, right? Is teams having assets and the opportunity to add him, offering as much as they can, which means you have to offer more. If no one can offer that much, right, and you have the best offer possible, there's ways for you to get a good deal. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. It's like it would be some Lakers stuff for us to get a crazy deal for Giannis with like one pick going back, and yeah,
Porzingis, Kennard,
yeah,
and
one
when
pick.
yeah, the
That would be
Cleveland
yeah,
swap.
yeah, that would be a Lakers trade. But with the it's just the Bucks have no leverage in this, which is not great for them. The Thunder and the Rockets have like all the leverage in the world. They don't need him. And then the teams that like do want him don't necessarily have to make this move, right? So
Because they're already
they
good.
yeah,
So,
so we'll see what the Bucks can figure out, man. They're up a creek.
but do you have any final thoughts before we close this episode out? Just immediately.
Um, First third of the season, I think the Hawks have been just a really competitive team. They've shown like the spirit you want, right? The comebacks have been there. Jalen is really, his confidence is just exploding. It's been great to see these guys growing, and I'm hoping that when Trey gets back, these guys fully healthy, they can get a little bit more rest in game and really get rolling. I want to see what they were working on in half court. So I think this team has another level they can hit offensively. I think this team has enough talent to be one of the best offensive teams in the league. And with the guys they have, I think they can stay where they are defensively. So I'm looking forward to the next third of the season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next third season as well. Hopefully Dyson and Zach can get out their slumps. I'm hoping Porzingis can get better, hopefully, and we can see him play more games. I know obviously you can't cure that POTS disorder, but hopefully I want to see him healthy because when he plays, he's really good. So and I was really excited to see him this off season. So to just see him like this is just honestly like kind of disappointing. But I just hope he gets better. But with that was episode 54 of Hard Knock Hawks. Thank y'all so much for listening / watching. If you're on YouTube, this is me and Anthony. I'll say me, Anthony. This is Anthony and Chris signing out. We will see you all next time.